The question tends to come up quietly, often while standing in the kitchen or scanning a breakfast menu. Eggs feel familiar, simple, and nourishing, yet somewhere along the way you may have heard that after a certain age, they become something to limit or avoid. That uncertainty can linger. You might wonder whether something you've eaten your whole life is still serving you well, or whether it's slowly working against your health. So today, we're going to talk calmly and clearly about eggs after 60, not with fear, not with rigid rules, but with understanding that helps you make confident choices. How many eggs are too many is a common question, and it deserves a thoughtful answer rather than a headline-driven one. Because the truth is more balanced and far more reassuring than most people realize. As the body ages, nutrition starts to matter differently, not because older bodies are fragile, but because they respond more directly to what they're given. Protein becomes more important for maintaining strength and stability. Nutrients that support brain health, vision, and muscle repair take on a larger role. Eggs naturally sit at the center of that conversation. They're affordable, easy to prepare, and packed with nutrients in a small space. But they've also carried a long history of mixed messaging. At one point, eggs were praised as a perfect food, then later criticized for cholesterol, and then quietly reintroduced with caution. That back and forth has left many adults over 60 unsure where they stand. And uncertainty around food can create unnecessary stress, which doesn't support health either. So let's slow this down and look at eggs for what they actually provide. One egg contains high-quality protein that the body uses efficiently, along with nutrients like choline, vitamin B12, vitamin D, and lutein. These nutrients matter more with age, not less. They support muscle strength, brain function, and eye health, which are areas many people want to protect long-term. Choline, in particular, plays a role in memory and cognitive processing. It's one of the nutrients the brain relies on, and many adults don't get enough of it from other foods. That alone reframes eggs as something worth understanding rather than avoiding. But cholesterol is usually where concern enters the conversation. For years, dietary cholesterol was thought to directly raise blood cholesterol levels. We now know the body is more complex than that. For most people, cholesterol levels are influenced more by overall diet, inflammation, activity level, and genetics than by eggs alone. The body actually adjusts how much cholesterol it produces based on what you eat. This doesn't mean cholesterol doesn't matter. It means eggs don't automatically cause harm, especially when eaten as part of a balanced pattern. So how many eggs are too many after 60? For most healthy adults, 1 egg per day is generally considered safe and beneficial. Some people do well with 2 eggs on certain days, especially if they're physically active or need more protein. Others may prefer eggs a few times a week rather than daily. What matters more than the exact number is the context, how eggs fit into the rest of your meals, your health history, and how your body responds. Have you ever noticed that some foods feel satisfying and energizing, while others leave you sluggish or uncomfortable? That awareness is valuable, and it's worth trusting. There's a quiet difference between eating eggs as part of a nourishing breakfast and eating them alongside processed meats or heavy, refined sides. Ultimately, preparation matters just as much as frequency. With that said, let's pause on a familiar moment. A morning where time feels short, hunger sets in, and you reach for something quick. Maybe it's eggs because they're reliable. You cook them simply, eat them slowly, and notice you stay full longer than expected. Your energy feels steadier through the morning, and you're not reaching for snacks or sugar as quickly. That experience isn't accidental. Protein helps regulate blood sugar and supports sustained focus, which becomes more important with age. On the other hand, eggs paired with excess salt, processed meats, or refined carbs can shift that balance. Not because eggs are the problem, but because the overall meal changes how the body responds. And unfortunately, this is where many nutrition conversations miss the mark. They isolate one food instead of looking at the full picture. Eggs don't exist in isolation on your plate. They're part of a pattern, and patterns matter more than single choices. Which means that if you've been told to avoid eggs because of heart health concerns, it's worth reframing that advice, because heart health is supported by consistent habits, not by removing one nutrient-dense food. Eggs can actually support heart health when they replace less nourishing options. They provide satiety, which can reduce overeating later in the day. They also contain antioxidants that support eye health, something many adults value as vision changes over time. Lutein and zeaxanthin are found naturally in egg yolks and are better absorbed from eggs than from many vegetables. Lutein and zeaxanthin are natural compounds that play an important role in how the body protects and supports the brain and eyes over time. They act as antioxidants, helping to reduce oxidative stress and inflammation, which are processes linked to aging in both vision and cognitive function. These nutrients also concentrate in areas of the brain associated with learning and memory, where they support communication between cells and overall mental clarity. Because eggs contain healthy fats, the body is able to absorb lutein and zeaxanthin from egg yolks more efficiently than from many plant sources alone, making them a particularly effective delivery vehicle. That doesn't mean everyone should eat eggs every day without thought. It means eggs deserve a fair evaluation, not blanket avoidance. If you have specific conditions, such as diabetes or a history of high cholesterol, individual guidance matters. Some people may benefit from monitoring portion size or balancing egg intake with fiber-rich foods. But even in those cases, eggs are rarely completely off the table. They're adjusted, not eliminated. Another helpful way to look at this is how eggs support aging muscles. After 60, the body becomes less efficient at using protein, which means quality matters more than quantity. Eggs provide complete protein with all essential amino acids. That makes them efficient, especially for maintaining strength and mobility. Mobility supports independence, confidence, and quality of life. So a food that supports muscle health deserves thoughtful consideration. Have you ever noticed how much easier daily tasks feel when your strength feels steady? That ease is something nutrition quietly supports. There's also the emotional side of food that rarely gets mentioned. Familiar foods can feel grounding. Eggs may be part of routines you've had for decades. Routines create stability, which supports mental and emotional well-being. When nutrition advice becomes overly restrictive, it can disconnect people from foods that feel comforting and sustainable. Sustainability matters more than perfection. It can also help to remember that appetite and needs change from day to day, and some mornings you may genuinely need more nourishment while others require less. Listening to hunger cues rather than rigid rules supports long-term balance, and that flexibility often leads to better consistency over time. There's a quiet confidence that comes from understanding food instead of fearing it. Confidence reduces stress around meals, which supports digestion and overall health. That's why the question isn't really how many eggs are too many. It's how eggs fit into your life in a way that supports your health without creating stress. Some weeks, that might mean eggs several mornings in a row. Other weeks, it might mean choosing different protein sources. Variety supports nutrition, but consistency supports habits. Both can exist together. If you're unsure where to start, 1 egg per day or a few times per week is a reasonable baseline for many adults over 60. Pairing eggs with vegetables, whole grains, or healthy fats adds balance. Cooking methods matter too. Gentle cooking preserves nutrients and avoids unnecessary added fats. Boiled, poached, or lightly scrambled eggs tend to be easier on digestion. Your body often gives feedback when something works well. Have you noticed which meals leave you feeling clear and comfortable afterward? Those signals are worth paying attention to. It's also helpful to remember that nutrition is cumulative. 1 egg doesn't define your health any more than 1 walk defines your fitness. What you eat most often, how you move, how you sleep, and how you manage stress all work together, and eggs are just one piece of that picture. In the world of senior health tips, simplicity often wins. Foods that are easy to prepare, affordable, and nutrient-dense tend to support consistency. Eggs check all of those boxes. That doesn't make them mandatory, but it does make them useful. As you think about eggs after 60, it may help to release the idea that there's one correct number. Because health isn't built on rigid limits, but on responsive choices. If you enjoy eggs and feel good eating them, that matters. If you don't, there are many other ways to meet your nutritional needs. The goal isn't to force a food into your routine. It's to understand it well enough to decide calmly. So rather than asking how many eggs are too many, consider asking a gentler question. How does my body respond when I include eggs thoughtfully? That shift in perspective moves you from fear to awareness, and awareness supports long-term health far better than restriction. Every day is another chance to care for the body that's carried you this far. Keep learning, keep moving, keep believing in your own strength. Because aging isn't slowing down, it's leveling up. If today's message resonated, take a moment to subscribe, leave a thought in the comments, or share this video with someone who could use a little encouragement. Because together we're proving that aging well isn't the exception, it's the standard.